Have you ever wondered what sparked the intense military conflict known as Operation Cast Lead in the Israeli-Palestinian saga? Well, let's travel back to the end of the first decade of the 21st century. The setting is the Gaza Strip, a small piece of land wedged between Israel and Egypt, a place of constant tension and conflict. The year 2008 was a particularly volatile one. Rocket attacks from Gaza into southern Israel were escalating, causing fear and disruption among the Israeli population. Meanwhile, in Gaza itself, the political landscape was undergoing a significant change. Hamas, a Palestinian political and military organization, was gaining strength and exerting control over the Gaza Strip. Their rise to power was viewed with concern by Israel and much of the international community due to their refusal to recognize Israel's right to exist and their commitment to armed resistance. With this backdrop of rising tensions, Israel launched Operation Cast Lead in December 2008. So, what exactly happened during these gruesome 3 weeks of Operation Cast Lead? As the calendar pages flipped from December 2008 to January 2009, an intense military campaign was unfolding in the Gaza Strip. This was Operation Cast Lead, a significant chapter in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. For 21 relentless days and nights, the operation raged on, leaving an indelible mark on the region. The scale of the operation was enormous, involving not just one but three facets of the Israeli military ground, air, and naval forces. This was not a scattered, haphazard show of force. Rather, it was a meticulously planned and executed operation. The primary focus was on weakening Hamas, which controlled the Gaza Strip, and curbing the rocket attacks that had been plaguing southern Israel. To achieve this, the Israeli forces zeroed in on Hamas infrastructure and militants. The Air Force took to the skies, carrying out precise strikes on strategic targets. Meanwhile, on the ground, troops advanced, engaging in close-quarters combat in the dense urban landscape of Gaza. Naval forces too played their part, securing the coastline and launching attacks from the sea. But the operation was not a one-sided affair. Hamas and other militant groups in Gaza fought back fiercely. They defended their strongholds, launched counterattacks, and continued to fire rockets into Israel. The battle lines were drawn, and both sides were resolute in their objectives. Yet, as is often the case in war, it was the civilians who bore the brunt of the conflict. Homes were reduced to rubble, infrastructure was decimated, and the death toll rose with each passing day. Both military and civilian casualties were reported, painting a grim picture of the human cost of the conflict. The intensity of this operation resulted in a substantial loss of life and significant damage, raising serious international concerns. The echoes of Operation Cast Lead reverberated far beyond the borders of Gaza and Israel, and the world watched with bated breath as the battle unfolded. But how did the international community react to this intense conflict? As the dust settled and the grim realities of Operation Cast Lead came to light, the world watched in dismay. The operation drew a swift and widespread condemnation from across the globe. Nations far and wide echoed calls for an immediate ceasefire, their pleas reverberating in the halls of the United Nations. The international community was united in its call for an end to the violence, an end to the bloodshed. Yet, the voices of condemnation were not the only ones to be heard. Human rights organizations around the world raised their concerns, their voices amplified by the stark images and stories emerging from the conflict zone. Reports of the extensive civilian impact, the damage to infrastructure, and mass displacement were alarming. These organizations questioned the proportionality of the operation, pointing to potential violations of international law. They demanded accountability, they insisted on justice. The world's reaction to Operation Cast Lead was a potent mix of shock, condemnation, and concern. It was a reaction that underscored the power of public opinion, the influence of international law, and the necessity of humanitarian intervention. The world had reacted, the world had spoken, and it was this global outcry, this universal call for peace, that led to a turning point in the conflict. In response to these global concerns, a ceasefire was brokered by Egypt and the international community. The ceasefire marked the end of active military engagement, but what were the long-term consequences of Operation Cast Lead? The Gaza war, encapsulated by Operation Cast Lead, left an indelible imprint on the region and beyond. Its impact was far-reaching, influencing regional dynamics, the humanitarian situation in Gaza, and international perceptions of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Firstly, the conflict altered regional dynamics. It spurred a shift in alliances and partnerships within the Middle East, causing ripples of tension that continue to permeate the region. The war also served as a stark reminder of the volatility of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, leading to a reevaluation of strategies and policies by regional powers. Next, let's turn our gaze to the humanitarian situation in Gaza. The war resulted in significant infrastructural damage, leading to a dire humanitarian crisis. Thousands of homes were destroyed, leaving families displaced and struggling to rebuild their lives. The damage to schools, hospitals, and other key facilities further exacerbated the hardship. Moreover, the economic blockade imposed on Gaza hampered reconstruction efforts, deepening the crisis. The international perception of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict was also dramatically influenced by Operation Cast Lead. The substantial loss of life, particularly among civilians, drew global attention. The conflict raised questions about proportionality and compliance with international law, leading to widespread international condemnation and scrutiny. It underscored the urgency for a just and lasting resolution to the conflict, bringing the issue to the forefront of the international community's agenda. However, despite the ceasefire, peace remained elusive. Tensions persisted, and subsequent conflicts have only underscored the complexities of achieving a lasting resolution. The enduring strife reflects the deep-seated issues at the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, issues that require more than just military strategies to address. Thus, Operation Cast Lead, while a defining moment in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, also underscored the complexities of achieving a lasting resolution. So, we've journeyed through the intense weeks of Operation Cast Lead, but what are the key takeaways here? This major military campaign left an indelible mark on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Its scale and impact, the international outcry, and the ceasefire that followed all illuminate the complexities of this enduring struggle. The lasting repercussions have shaped regional dynamics and continue to influence the humanitarian situation in Gaza. Despite the ceasefire and the passing years, the echoes of Operation Cast Lead continue to reverberate, underscoring the ongoing struggle for a peaceful resolution in the region.